Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another retro review from past seasons of The Loud House. In today's video, we look at the Season 2 episode where Luan calls it quits on comedy, and it's no laughing matter. Today's episode is titled, no laughing matter. Hey, how do you like that? Well, anyway, first we'll discuss the plot and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into it. The episode begins with Luan pranking and telling jokes to her family in preparation for a comedy contest. Unfortunately, going overboard with her comedy leads to the rest of her siblings venting about how annoying she is, and she decides to give up being a comedian after she overhears what everyone said about her. The kids try to get Luan to be funny again, but their sister refuses to go back to the way she was. However, seeing Lincoln's failed attempts at trying to be funny when he takes part in the comedy contest leads Luan to taking the stage and returning to her comedy ways, and promises to tone down her antics. Well, for now, at least. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. This is one of those instances where you feel bad for the main character, but you also kinda don't given the circumstances, and you're more inclined to be on the side of the people complaining about the main character. What I mean is, Luan's siblings venting about their frustrations with their sister's behavior is not without merit, and I don't blame them for being mad since they weren't wrong in what they were saying. Luan tells corny jokes and pulls ridiculous pranks on them all the time, and it's even worse on April Fool's Day. In truth, I agree with them when they said Luan was being obnoxious and annoying. Outside of April 1st, she usually never gets excessive with her brand of comedy. Them wanting to enjoy pie without making a joke about it or having it thrown in their faces, among other objects like punching bags and eggs, is not asking too much, and I would enjoy a little break from the antics as well. However, it did come off as a rather low blow when they were talking smack about Luan behind her back. Remember when Lori low-key dissed Luan's joke in Sound of Silence when they were standing side by side? That's where my heart went out to Luan, and I felt so bad for her. It's one thing if your family is going to tell you to your face you're not funny, but it really sucks to hear it when they think you aren't around to hear it. I honestly don't blame her for wanting to give up her attempts at being funny. She was right to think she might be annoying to an audience of strangers if her own family thought she was terrible at what she was doing. But Luan overdoing her comedy was in preparation for the Junior Comedians contest. If you think about it, she just wanted to stay focused on doing well and felt she needed to get in all the practice she could. It was similar to that one episode of Full House where Joey was going to be on Star Search and he prepared himself by going overboard with his comedy, much to everyone's dissatisfaction. In both cases, these comedians, who never go beyond what's necessary to be funny 24/7, wouldn't have gone too far if they didn't have a contest they really wanted to win and possibly take them to the next level, so to speak. Yes, the way they were getting themselves ready was very overdone and they should have cut it back a little, but there was never any intention of acting abnormal just to deliberately annoy others. Sadly, Luan took her siblings' words to heart and completely gave up her passion. That reminded me of another episode of Full House where Joey gave up comedy when his audience walked out on him after they watched the legendary Phyllis Diller indirectly take his time slot. It was a complete misunderstanding, but when you see the people you're trying to impress walk away and assuming they don't want to hear from you, you'd feel like you're wasting your time and should just quit the comedy game altogether. That's when Luan started to act more normal, whatever that means, and it was really throwing her family for a loop since that's not the Luan they knew. You knew things were about to get real the moment you realized those kids were willing to break out the banana peels and perform spit takes if it meant getting their old sister back. If anything, this episode was a unique mix of the two Full House episodes I just mentioned, But Seriously Folks and Star Search, and even Luan's siblings attempting to get Luan to be herself again was very reminiscent to how Jesse was able to convince Joey to get back in the comedy game, and that's where I noticed something a little off in this episode. Luan thanked Lincoln for thinking he was purposely screwing up the jokes, and he nervously acted like that was his intention all along. The way he talked up his plan and the way he was acting on stage seemed like that was the case. So he legitimately thought he was being funny? Was his plan to make Luan jealous? Did he want to get into a confrontation with her by saying, "Oh, you think you can tell jokes better than me? Well, let's see you take a jab at it." That was Jesse's plan on Full House, so maybe that was Lincoln's plan too, but at least Jesse knew he was going to mess up on purpose. So what was Lincoln's excuse for his mediocre performance if it wasn't to intentionally make a fool of himself? Your guess is as good as mine. Either way, the kids knew they needed to get the old Luan back, and their sister needed to be reminded of what made her special, and it was that special talent that landed her first place in the contest. Yeah, she promised to tone down the pranking, and it's true since it's not so excessive in every other episode after this one, but we know Luan Luan isn't Luan unless she makes those puns, and we love her all the same. Two final things to consider. First, did anyone else notice how Lucy had her old hairstyle for a brief moment? And second, I can't get over Lisa wanting to go back in time and it would result in everyone's butts being in front. If that's in the front, does that mean the back would have... Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to stop there. Overall, this episode may have one of those conflicting situations where everyone is the good guy and the bad guy at the same time and for different reasons, but it's still a pretty good episode for Luan and her siblings. It's a more relaxed version of the April Fool's Day episodes and, in my opinion, a bit more relatable. The lesson to be learned is that it's better to be yourself, including being a little goofy and jokey now and again, but you don't have to overdo it since it's going to become more annoying than funny. Luan found that out the hard way, and despite their understandable feelings, the other kids knew they really messed up and they were willing to go back to being on the receiving end of their sister's comedy if it meant bringing back what they consider normal, regardless of how cringe and or painful things can get. With that said, I give No Laughing Matter an 8.3 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of No Laughing Matter. This episode proves Luan can have a more serious side to her personality, and while she had a breakthrough moment here, her biggest one comes in the next season. But that's a review for another time. So, as far as this episode goes, what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video. But until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.